Disney is discounting all kinds of services at the Walt Disney World Resort. We'll help you save money while also watching out for those things they're discounting on their side in terms of services. Here we go. It is a fantastic time for anyone who is interested in going to the Walt Disney World Resort, as it seems those levers that were talked about before by Christine McCarthy, the Chief Financial Officer of Disney, those are beginning to be pulled now as the company looks to try to draw in people to return to Walt Disney World. Joining us today to talk about all of the news that came out is Reina Creole, a constant blogger of all things Disney and theme parks. And how are you today? It's such a wonderful honor to get to have you on this channel.
Oh, well, thank you. It is an honor to be on your channel. I so do appreciate it. And yes, I'm one of those Disney aficionado, Disney commando planners, been going to Disney World since I was about 2 years old.
Well, you are perfect for this topic then, as we get into sort of the planning that people are going to be doing for spring and summer. And one of the interesting things about what Disney is doing in these announcements that we've been seeing are that we're beginning to get major deals for not just the off seasons of Disney. So you might think that it's fairly regular that you would get discounts for late January and for late February.
Mm-hmm.
You would get some discounts for September once all the kids have gone back to school. But we're starting to see some discounts now for the Walt Disney World Resort that are going into July. And that's fairly unusual. So let's take a look. This actually came out a while ago. It's now being covered by Elite Daily by Rachel Chapman. Mm-hmm. And the name of the article is Disney Spring 2023 Hotel Deals Include 25% Off Resort Rooms. We need to add to that it's not just 25% off for resort rooms. If you are an annual pass holder, those can actually go a little bit higher. So I'll read just a little bit and hand it over to you for some commentary and thought on this. But okay. The article says, as much as Disney is known for being expensive, and then there's some colorful acronyms, mm-hmm. there are mm-hmm. ways to save on a Disney vacation if you're willing to do a bit of searching. Right now, Disney is offering a Disney dining promo card for guests to save money on the food they eat while visiting the parks. With this deal, you can save up to $750 on all your meals. And it continues on. But really what we want to talk about is for 2023, Disney is offering tons of hotel deals that include saving up to 25% off your resort room and additional discounts for annual pass holders. And then it goes into list out some of these resorts, which they're not sort of the ancillary kind of resorts that you've never heard of. We're talking about the Yacht Club, Wilderness Lodge. We're talking about the Polynesian, the Grand mm-hmm. Floridian, and it goes on. And actually, these percentages, they lower down as you look into other hotels, but you can get discounts for almost any hotel out there. And something that some people might not consider is that when we're talking about these types of percentages, the amounts that you're saving on, let's say, a 4-day or a 5-day can get really large. So could you just explain for, let's say, someone who's maybe not been to Disney World in a while, or they're planning their first trip, what do these types of percentages really add up to in the big picture for how much money you could save this year taking your family to Disney?
Well, when I think about discounts like this, when they would come out, because I used to use a travel agent who would let me know about the discounts, it translates into, I would say, money that you can save on other portions of your budget. For example, you may be able to increase your souvenir budget. It may be that you might want to splurge on, let's say, more sit-down meals. You may want to do that. Or you may say, hey, if we save this amount of money on a resort room, we can actually rent our own vehicle to get around in. So exactly. You kind of think about these discounts as when you have your budget put together for your trip, and yes, you need a budget for a Disney trip, you can count that against something else. So it's
Disney's not liking what you're saying about that budget. They tell me that you don't need one. You just spend.
Oh, if anything I've learned from as a kid going to Disney and parents who would have to save all year to go, and we get there and it's just like, okay, you can just look, but you get one souvenir and that was it. We didn't do sit downs or anything like that. So it was always about the budget, the budget, the budget, the budget, your budget. So eventually I became one of those Disney planners where I have a spreadsheet that has a budget and everything has to balance, because I tell people Disney's job is to separate you from your money by any means necessary.
That's exactly right. And they're good at it.
Oh, yes, they will use your own parents against you. I tell you.
So looking at this list on your screen here that everybody can see, this list
Mhm.
of the resorts and hotels which are at the 25% off and potentially higher for annual pass holders, what
Mhm.
would you say are the top three resorts that you would recommend out of these for someone who is planning to go to Disney World and has the budget for
Mhm.
these resorts, even with the percentage off? These are still rather expensive, but which of these would you say are on the list that you should probably consider?
Let's see. Number one, well, we'll say number three. Number three, I'll recommend the Beach Club. And I'm going to kind of tag the Yacht Club underneath that, because the Yacht Club and the Beach Club are one big complex together. The Beach Club, I just find to have a lighter decorative theme. I love the beachy theme of it. The quick service restaurant that they have is wonderful. There's great places to just hang out in. And of course, Stormalong Bay, which is a nice, lovely, not only just a pool, but water, like mini water park feature. And that's always been a big deal with Stormalong Bay. It's perfect for families. It's a lot of fun, especially if you don't want to spend money on a ticket to hop to a water park. Just stay there. It's got lots of water features. In addition, the boat launch that comes from Epcot and that makes the circle around all the Epcot Center resorts and then goes to the Hollywood Studios. The boat launch is right in front of the beach club. You have to walk further down after you get off at the beach club to go down to the yacht club. So that's another reason why I recommend the beach club. And plus, Cape May Cafe is a really good restaurant. So that's number three. Number two, I would say the Wilderness Lodge, because one, it
It
is
is. A lot of
close
people love that one.
it is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. You get boat transportation from there to the Magic Kingdom, which you are going to love when the Magic Kingdom empties itself out um, at, uh, at night. The theming is wonderful. The lobby is great. The Whispering Canyon Cafe is probably one of the last greatly themed, I would say, restaurants that is not only that, but it's also extremely economical. And the cast members have all different kinds of personalities. It's like dining and a show in a way, but
It seems like
love that.
Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness both sort of somehow maintain that old Disney World magic. They're one of the last places that still has that.
I would 100% agree. Would absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
All right. What is your top pick, though, out of all of these we see here for the family that is going for the first time or the second time, hasn't been in a while? What would
Mhm.
you recommend at the top?
At the top is my pick that has been my pick since I was a little girl and has been my pick after staying there 5 times, and that would be Disney's Polynesian Resort. Now,
But how badly do you miss the waterfall in the lobby?
I miss it. So every time I walk in, it feels like something is missing. I miss that water feature. It just gave such a wonderful characteristic, like the Disney difference to it. It just looked different. Now it looks like any other lobby at, like, say, a hotel in Hawaii. So I really do miss that. That broke my heart when they The Polynesian doesn't smell the same without it.
That's
Do
right.
you like
Isn't that
that?
funny that everybody remembers, everybody who's been to that hotel remembers the pleasant smell of the whatever it was that they used to maintain everything in the right conditions, even with a giant waterfall in the middle of their lobby. But
Mhm.
that said, even though the lobby is not what it once was, it is still a fantastic resort, a fantastic hotel to stay in, and the view walking out of the backside as you go past where the Dole Whips are sold, you immediately see the castle across Seven Seas Lagoon. It is unique among all of the hotels at Disney World.
It absolutely is. The pool, which now has like water features and additional, the pool has a slide inside the volcano. You can see Cinderella's castle from the pool. So you can literally swim and you see the castle. The beach is perfect for watching the fireworks. The music from the fireworks is piped into the beach. You have the electrical water parade that runs, I believe, twice a night that you can see. In addition to that, and in addition to the absolutely lush landscaping, Tambu Lounge, which is my favorite bar, Lapu Lapu drink, have two and you're visible. Um, it is also a very centrally located resort. And what I mean by that is you can take the boat or you can take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. You can walk to the Transportation and Ticket Center and take the monorail to Epcot. So you have several options when it comes to the Magic Kingdom and to Epcot. And when it comes to the Magic Kingdom, if you have kids, it's the end of the night, you're tired, you don't want to stand in that line for the monorail, guess what? 9 times out of 10, the boat is running.
That's
So,
exactly right. And I don't think many people know just how close the Polynesian is to the Ticket and Transportation Center, because if you want to catch the monorail to go to Epcot, let's say, it's really not a very far walk. You don't have to get onto the resort monorail and ride that all the way around to the TTC. You can literally just take the path and be there in minutes. So in bad weather, that's not going to happen, but you get
yeah.
the idea. It's a great point about its location, and it is primo location if you're going to stay at the Polynesian. All right, now that's not all Disney World is doing to try to attract guests and bring them back and get them for the first time. Let's take a look now at an article from That Park Place by Pamela Fitzgerald, and this one is called Disney World Brings Back Weekday Magic Pass for Florida Residents. Let me dive straight into this one. If you're a Florida resident, Disney's latest discount might be just what you need to go enjoy the park. The current deal does, in fact, pull the price per day under $100. Lately, that's hard to come by. And here's the details on it. It says the Disney Weekday Magic Ticket is back. Beginning January 10th, 2023, Floridians will be able to purchase a two-day ticket for $175 plus tax to visit Walt Disney World Resort theme parks Monday through Friday. And then also it is subject to blockout dates. All right, so let's talk about this. This seems to indicate to me that Disney may be struggling during the off-season times, right? So we're in one of those right now, minus some
Mhm.
of these minor holidays that come up, the President's Day weekend, and we can think of some others, Valentine's, those sorts of things. When you do get a little bit of a bounce, but in those lull kind of times, it seems like they're having a harder time, and they're trying to leverage the locals to come to the Walt Disney World Resort more. Some people who live in California may think that it functions the same way. Disneyland is largely driven by local attendance, but Florida is far more national, continental, and even international. So, what do you think about the theory that this is trying to remedy low crowd levels and trying to, I guess, bump up the numbers of people who are coming on the weekdays? Do you think that Disney World is struggling right now with that?
I would say that they are struggling with that. When I go to the parks, when I live stream on a Saturday, the parks are busy. Usually, most locals will go on a Saturday or a Sunday if they go. When I visit the parks during the week in some of the hotels when I'm telecommuting, there is a noticeable lack of locals. Now, in general, the idea, or let's just say the mentality that the locals have, is that the parks are full of tourists, and two, it's expensive to go. And when we say local, we're saying like we'll say like the Orlando Metro Orlando area. So like maybe within like a 50 mile radius. If people are coming
Sure.
from other parts of the state, like say Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, Pensacola, I just pretty much consider them as I would visitors from out of state. But it is very hard to get locals into this park, especially from a Floridian point of view. They see Disney as something that was placed there to bring in people from out of state and out of the country, as opposed to Disneyland, which seems primarily there to cater to the local population.
Well, also, it seems that in the past few years, and whoever is to blame for this, so be it. We're not going to go into the politics within Disney or the machinations of CEOs and all of that sort of thing. But it seems to me that Disney made decisions that actually made it worse for them in terms of attracting locals. Can you talk about some of the changes that have happened at the Walt Disney World Resort in terms of reservations, in terms of just things that are prohibitive for sort of going to the parks on the spur of the moment decision?
Well, the park reservation system is definitely number one. When I got my annual pass, which they're not selling the annual passes anymore unless you're a Florida resident, and then it's a pass with all the weekends blacked out of it. It's hard to go just to say, hey, let's just go to the park. Do you have a reservation? We need to go through that just to go to a park when it wasn't like that in the beginning. So there's that with the reservation system. What may seem to be a very minor thing, but was something that most people liked, was getting the tram from the parking lot.
Oh, sure. Oh, listen, I think that's a big deal. I really do think that's a big deal because you start talking about families with grandparents wanting to go and grandparents wanting to take their grandchildren, and even great grandparents wanting to take their great grandchildren in the out of the Orlando metro area. That is a difficult thing to do. You think about going to, let's say you go in the afternoon, right? Because you're local and you're just
Mhm.
like, oh, you know what? We've got the afternoon open. Let's go to Animal Kingdom. And you're parking in the very back. You're parking in the very back of Giraffe, let's say.
Mhm.
That is a long walk. It's a very long walk for people who may have, some mobility issues, but not necessarily enough to get the disability sticker on their vehicle.
Right, you're absolutely right with that. Even when I stream from the parks, it's a lot easier for me to park at Epcot and walk to the front as opposed to wait for a tram. But it's very close in that case. But as you were saying, with like the Animal Kingdom, and especially with the Magic Kingdom, the lack of trams, especially for the cases you were saying, if you have young children or if you have people with mobility issues or elderly, I have never seen so many irritated people, including myself, having to walk from way back in Magic Kingdom parking to go through security. Then maybe the monorail is working. If it's not working, then everybody's piling to get, on the ferry boat, and then to get to the parks. And that's just the gauntlet to get to the parks. Also add to that the steep increases and smaller portions when it comes to the food that is in the parks. It's like another cut by degrees, especially when it comes to the local population, because I would say the local, let's say, per capita or income is lower, disposable income, than from people who are coming there to visit from out of state. So it makes you as a local feel as if Disney does not value you as a local that comes to the park regularly. They value those that are coming in from out of town or out of state or out of the country that are dropping thousands of dollars on a trip to be there. And sometimes it can be pretty disheartening.
So the name of this video is Disney World Discounted, and I think this is working on both sides of the equation. So they're discounting now all sorts of what have been very elevated pricing on services. And we'll get into some more of those in a moment. We've already talked about the hotels. We're talking now about Florida residents essentially having their 5-day weeks discounted. But also, you bring up a great point. It's not just on the side of offering discounts. It's also that the services themselves are discounted in the quality that's provided. And so one of the things that I was thinking about where you were discussing that is, I remember being at Hollywood Studios recently, and I was at Pizza Rizzo outside, and I was watching a family that was very frustrated because they wanted to go inside and sit down while they waited for their food, but they couldn't because they were being blocked out because their mobile order was not ready yet. And they were just frustrated because, like, why can we not go sit down in the restaurant while you make our food, and then we'll eat it there? And so I just think that's some of the stuff, some of the difficulties brought about by all of these reservation systems that are built now into going to Disney World. And you sort of feel like you're living on your phone a little bit. I also thought while you were talking, I would love to do a video sometime that explains all of the tricks about getting around parking at Disney World, because I would recommend people not ever park at the Magic Kingdom parking lot if at all possible. And it's very possible to not do so. But I'm worried that the minute that I put that video out there, Disney will knock out everything that I suggest. So I'm keeping that in reserve. I'm not telling all the secrets. So, all right, well, let's get into all of these new discounts that they're also preparing to offer that they were announced yesterday. So let's take a look at these real quick, and we'll run through and see what you think about all of this. This is going to be coming to us from WDDDMagic.com, and it's called Everything That Happened on a Huge News Day for Walt Disney World. At the time of recording, it is today that these announcements came out, but at the time of the video release, this was yesterday. All right, it has been a massive day for the Walt Disney World Resort with several big announcements from the Tron Light Cycle Run opening date reveal, the opening date of 2 fireworks shows, to changes with Disney Park Pass reservations. I guess you could say that this is a blitzkrieg of releases from Disney trying to create an allure of returning back to the resort. I kind of wonder if maybe the reservations were significantly down for the summer. And I also wonder if international travel seems to be down for some reason. So we'll see how all that plays out. But here's a rundown of some of the things, and then we'll stop and talk about some of this. Disney confirms the opening date for the return of Happily Ever After at Walt Disney World. This is a returning fireworks show that was much more popular than the 50th anniversary celebration fireworks show. What are your thoughts on what they did with the 50th and why they're bringing this back so quickly now?
The 50th, I would say, was a complete bust.
Yes.
It was so much of a bust that I was hoping for the castle to be decorated with, the big pink
Don't you bring that birthday cake. Don't you do it.
The nailed it cake.
I can't handle that much fuchsia.
The nailed it castle. That's what we call it. But I was so disappointed with the 50th, and I had such high hopes for the 50th. When I moved here, I got like a license plate for the 50th because I was so hyped about it. But everything that they said about the current fireworks show was so not good that I've never gone to see it. I just remember Happily Ever After. So I'm so glad that is coming back, because the other fireworks show was not all that well received. I've seen 50th anniversary merchandise show up at the character warehouse. I've seen that happen.
That's right. Yeah.
It seemed to be very much a push on merchandise in volume,
without any payback on the other side, right? It's all to gather money from you, and there's very little substance to it beyond that.
It really is. And honestly, it's like the best things about the 50th are the stuff that they gave away for free.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you this too. So I'm not a fan of the vocals in the 50th celebration, Disney Enchanted, the fireworks show. And I think the moment that I realized that I just really didn't enjoy these new renditions of the songs that are in that fireworks show is I was at Columbia Harbor House, and so they
Mm-hmm.
piped the music in, but I'm just eating with friends, and so they start piping the music in, and because you're in that restaurant, and because you're not watching the fireworks, you could really focus in on the vocals. And I just remember kind of cringing in places and be like, why did they make this musical choice for this particular song? It's so forced. So I just think all around it's I'm glad to see it be gone. And for the people who worked on it, better luck next time. I get them another chance, and hopefully they'll come through. Let's move on to Epcot Forever, which is now replacing Harmonious, and this is big news. So let's pause and talk about this because this doesn't fully discuss this in the article, but we need to explain it. Harmonious is the giant. It looks like the backstage area of a concert. It looks like Death Star tacos. It looks like a portal gate to hell. It is bizarre, but it's all this giant infrastructure sitting in the middle of Epcot, in the middle of the lake, and then it obscures the view of the World Showcase during the day. It's very much an eyesore, and then at night it turns into what I would call a Disney karaoke sing along that features a few songs performed in other languages, not English, in order to tie it into Epcot loosely. It is it's a show that was chiefly designed by Bob Chapek, and with it leaving now, it will be one of the only things running currently that Bob Chapek actually designed or was over. The other thing being the Tiana's Bayou Adventure. When that comes in, that was explicitly created and developed under Bob Chapek. But Harmonious is one of the very few things that was, and it will now be gone. Iger is in charge, and it's going out. What surprises me, and tell me if this surprises you, I suggested that they do this. I mean, if you go back to the original review that I did on Harmonious, when I first saw it, I thought it was horrendous. I mean, I thought this was just terrible. I mean, it was embarrassingly bad in my opinion. And people who go to Disney World for the first time might not think that. But if you've been and seen Reflections, Illuminations of Earth, or if you've seen any of the other major shows, you know this is just, I mean, I'm not trying to be overly harsh, but I have to be. In my opinion, it's kind of garbage.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. So to finish that thought, what surprises me is even though I suggested this in the original review I did the day that it came out or the second day after, I suggested they strip the whole thing down and take the loss. But I never thought they really would do that this quickly, that they would actually dismantle the whole thing because of how expensive it is. So why do you think they're going to such trouble to get rid of all of this? How bad is it?
Man, let me preface this by saying every time that I visited Epcot since I was a kid, the fireworks at the end of the night at Epcot were amazing. The music, it brought together, the themes of like world harmony and all of that. It was something to look forward to every night. If you were visiting Epcot, that was something that you just had to see. I was there the first night that Harmonious premiered, and apparently Chapek was there as well. And when I saw it, I thought it was the most flaming garbage type of fireworks show. They didn't even have most of the fireworks the first night. You had this Stargate in the middle of the World Showcase Lagoon, obstructing, that gorgeous view that you get, like if you take a picture like of Japan and you can get like the big golf ball in the background, and it's perfect. Now that thing is in the way, and then you've got 4 death tacos stationed around it that are basically electronic billboards during the day. And you're right about about it being like a karaoke sing along. When I streamed it the first night that I was there, and people were just like, I don't get what this is.
My jaw dropped. I'll be honest, my jaw dropped. I was like, I can't believe they made this.
It was horrible. But do you know the moment I threw up my hands and said, this is really absolute crap? Mulan is one of my favorite animated films by Disney.
Right.
And Reflection by Christina Aguilera. That is like the song that sells that entire cartoon. As soon as they start queuing up the music for it, people are getting excited. They're like, oh man, this is going to be great. We don't even hear Christina Aguilera, nor do we hear it in English. And it's just like, why is this here?
That's right.
It literally sucked the life out of it. And I said, I'm not interested in watching this at all. And then, when the show is over, they have lots of stuff to kind of show you to kind of try to keep you around. But it is the worst thing. I'm glad to see it go. I'm glad they're just taking the L and getting rid of it, because when people go there to
It's a big
visit,
L.
they
It's a
look
big
and they're
L.
just like, why the heck is all of this crap here?
So just so people can understand how badly designed this is, because this boggles the mind, honestly. And everybody, if you've never seen this, get ready. Imagine that the World Showcase Lagoon is like a clock, okay? And imagine that the harmonious infrastructure sits in the middle of that clock. Where you can view this show is basically from 12 o'clock and from 6 o'clock. And the farther you go from those positions, although it is at a slight angle, but the farther you go from those positions, and not by much, the ability to view the show diminishes greatly, to the point that if you are, let's say that you're at Mexico, at the Mexico Pavilion, or you're over in France, let's say, you have almost no view whatsoever of the giant ring that is playing the video that you're supposed to be watching. And so you are entirely limited to a very small section, two very small sections of the park, to be able to optimally watch this nighttime spectacular. So
Yes.
who in the world would design something like that? That's just insanity. That should be
Someone,
laughed at the starting plan. When you first put that down on paper and show it to somebody, they should laugh and be like, you can't see it from half the park.
I want to know what was up with Imagineering when they came up with that, because I'm just like, it wasn't created with an artistic vision in mind.
No, that is definitely true. It was created with a PowerPoint vision in mind.
You got that right.
All right. Well, we've beaten that what is now a dead horse. So let's continue on. All right. So Tron is coming. We've known this. It's coming April 4th. And I'm going to give you my thought on this real quick. I don't think it's a fantastic attraction. I think it's a very short, very mediocre roller coaster that's based around a gimmick that will be a lot of fun once, but not for repeat riding. But I do believe that the iconography and the facade of the attraction is just incredible. It's marvelous, especially at night. But I think that what we're about to see is that this is the beginning of Disney ramping up sort of press releases and publicity for the attraction, because they're going to attempt to bury any negativity that comes out from Splash Mountain being closed. Because while you and I know about Splash Mountain, and we've had a discussion in the past about it, I suggest everybody go to your channel and go look up when you and I had the wonderful opportunity before to talk. It was a great conversation, and I was so thankful for it. But, we know about that kind of thing, but the normal guest probably doesn't. And there's going to be some negativity when they show up and they're like, oh, we can't ride Splash Mountain. Oh, it's never coming back. And some people are going to be excited about the Bayou Adventure, but they need to have major positivity. And so what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to begin soft previews much earlier than usual with Tron, if only to solve this capacity issue, because they have a lot of rides going down for refurbishment, not just Splash Mountain. So what are your thoughts on that theory I have?
I would have to agree with you on that. Tron is a ride that a lot of people were hoping were going to open with the 50th, myself being among that. And when it didn't, it's kind of like, not so really excited that much anymore. I did see the trains running, and I kind of agree with you. It looks like a pretty mediocre coaster. I mean, the light effects look great. The canopy outside, the light effects look great with that. But to me, it kind of seems like the same thing would happen with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. It's like it's a nice gimmick. There's nothing innovative about it. We've seen this ride before. It's over in Shanghai, but it is one of, like you said, one of the points of positivity that Disney can talk about. This looks great. Doesn't this look cool? There's so much excitement for it. I really do that they are going to milk that for as much good press as they possibly can. Because I agree with you. Splash Mountain, that is one of the most popular rides when it comes to the mountain circuit at the Magic Kingdom. You've got Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Splash Mountain.
Easy, Stacy. I know what you're up to over there.
God, I love
see
Stacey.
where we're going with that. All right. So moving along, we've got that pass holders will no longer be required to have a park pass reservation after 2 p.m. And again, though, this is not including Saturdays and Sundays, probably to pull in more people on weekdays, especially those who are on the fence who might be like, you know what, I do want to go over and stop at the empty parks this evening. So, and then we've got, I think this is a big one. Talk to us a minute about the complimentary parking returning to resort hotels.
This is a big one. I have always said that for people who are in a really tight budget, especially young families, not having to pay for parking is a big deal with the budget. And when Disney instituted that of charging for parking, it bit into a lot of people's budget. And it's a sore spot of contention with a lot of people who are visiting for the most part. Them getting rid of that is a big deal. Not going to lie. It's going to be one of those things where, hey, we no longer have to plan to pay for parking now. For the longest time, Universal had paid parking. Disney did not. It was complimentary. It was part of the Disney difference. So it's a good thing that is coming back. But in my mind, it's one of those things that never should have been instituted in the first place. But I think this is going to be very welcome news for people. Again, those folks who are on very tight budgets.
Absolutely. And the last thing listed in that article was that photos taken on attractions will now be included with some Genie Plus stuff, which I think is, it's a little thing, but hey, maybe it'll make some people happy. Mm-hmm. So to wrap this up now, what's your outlook for the parks for 2023? Where are they in terms of drawing in guests? We saw after the worldwide situation that we just went through that there was a massive influx of international guests that really buoyed the parks to, well, they were just absolutely at capacity, whatever you think the capacity was. But where are we now? What's happening this year?
Well, I would say there's a certain economic challenge that is making itself very, very prevalent right now. So some people who may have wanted to go to the parks this year, they may not go. I really don't see local demand picking up significantly, again, due to the certain economic challenges that are going on this year. I think Disney will have somewhat of a decrease in attendance, but I think the summer, for the most part, will be about the same. Most people go in the summer. So as for the attendance outlook, I think it's going to be more of a significant dip during the quote unquote low portions of the year. But I think the people that will go, they won't be spending as much again.
That's right.
Due to the economic challenges that are going on, and especially inflation.
It seems that Disney is willing now to reach out to try to attract guests, whereas in the past, maybe the past year and a half, they were in a much stronger position because people were trying desperately to get their families to the parks to have that memory in case some new calamity were to strike the world. Exactly. Well, Miss Reina Creole, you are the best in the business when it comes to sitting down and talking about the Disney parks and all of the intricacies, and especially about sort of setting budgets for families and finding those ways of saving some money. Tell us, please, where can people find you out on this great big web?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much again for having me on your show. I surely do appreciate it. Folks, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, and of course, you can find me on YouTube, all under the same name, Lorena Creole. And I have my mantra, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks.
Awesome. And folks, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit subscribe and share this thing out. I'm a brand new channel and I need all the help I can get. So make sure you do those things. And in the future, I hope to have Miss Reina Creole back again because we've got a chat in the future at some point about Epic Universe and what it means for Disney coming down the pipe. But that will be for another day. Thank you so much for being on. It is always a pleasure. And I highly recommend people go find your Twitter account, which will be listed in the description below, but go find your Twitter account because she will make your day better. There is not the drama that you see in so many other accounts. It's just a whole lot of positivity and good vibes. And so I highly recommend sharing your timeline with La Reina Creole. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day. As always, keep having fun.